It seems like there are UX design jobs everywhere, so why is it so difficult to hear back from hiring managers? Today I'm going to talk to you about how you can make your case studies stand out from all of the other UX design bootcamp graduates and self-teachers. Stay tuned. Hello, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Morgan. I am a digital marketer turned UX designer, and I work in the financial services industry. I make videos talking about UX design, changing careers, and the pain of existence. If that kind of content suits you, make sure to subscribe. So first of all, I would just like to say I moved, I have not cleaned, I have not truly unpacked, I have not set up a space yet for me to film. So yeah, if this is your first time on my channel, all of my videos are a hot mess, so this is actually a step up. So a lot of UX design influencers or YouTubers will tell you about their story of how they were able to switch careers to UX design in a matter of weeks. This is not my story. It took me about a year to switch careers. I committed in November of 2020 by joining Career Foundry, and I finished that bootcamp in 6 months, and it took another 6 months of interviewing to land my current position. One of my biggest struggles when trying to get a job was actually hearing back the first time. I had very few interviews, but once I actually got my interviews, I did pretty well, obviously because now I have a job. But yeah, I hear this all the time from people, and I see it on LinkedIn. People finish their boot camp, or they teach themselves, or whatever they end up doing. They make a couple of case studies, and then they don't get an interview. They don't hear back, getting even a rejection letter. So you've got to ask yourself, why? I would suggest that you look at the materials that you're initially submitting. I would make sure that your resume makes sense for the jobs that you are applying for. I will make my own UX resume video if you guys want, but there are other videos out there. It could also be that you're applying for jobs that you're not necessarily qualified for, but more than likely it's your portfolio and your case studies. Boot camps are great, but unfortunately it leads to a lot of graduates that have very similar, if not identical, portfolios. And in pretty much all of my videos, I say you have to do stuff by yourself. You have to take what you learn and you need to apply it, get over that analysis paralysis. You need to do stuff on your own if you want to land a high quality position. But it can be difficult to make yourself stand out, You might end up copying the process that you learned in your boot camp. You need to be a little bit more free-form than that. You need to have a little bit more intuition in your projects, but I'm gonna get into some specifics of how you can make your case studies and portfolios stand out amongst the crowd. So one, you can show them that you think about the little things. So when you're working as a UX designer, chances are you're not going to be solving big problems all the time. You're not going to constantly be in the beginning of your process. You're going to have the product made at some point, and it's not always researching for new features and stuff like that. A lot of UX design is fixing what some may consider minor problems, things that users may not even initially think about until they realize it's a problem, and then it's a problem for you. So this can include things like error states, which are often forgotten in projects, pagination for maybe data tables that get too long, accessibility efforts. If you're making a mobile app, you have to think about someone who may not have motor functions. You can show in your project about how you basically try to mitigate that and focus on accessibility. And there's countless other things. In one of my projects, and it was one that I showed in my portfolio presentation, I focused on the onboarding process because throughout my project, I realized that's a problem. People are having trouble going through the onboarding process, which was essential to the functionality of my app. I needed certain information, and it was a very lengthy process. So I was like, okay, yes, this project is about solving the user's problem, but there's problems within problems. So the problem that I really focused on in my project, I was making a tax documentation app basically. And the thing that I really focused on was the problem of this onboarding process. Like I said, it was the key to the functionality of my app. I needed this information in order for the app to work. And so I spent a lot of my project just researching, testing, revising, and doing it over and over again until I felt like I found a solution. And I think that they really appreciated that I wasn't just focused on solving this huge problem, but I actually like got my hands dirty and made sure that this initial function worked, you know, because it's not just about like solving that initial problem in your problem statement. It's about making sure that your product actually makes sense and that it works. Tip number 2 is to think holistically. Working as a UX designer involves a lot of stakeholder management, so you have to keep other stakeholders in mind while designing. For example, UX designers often work very closely with development teams, and so you have to make sure that you have documentation of functionality and things like spacing for them, or you can show that you have a design system and how you would share that with development. If you don't know how to do any of that, I recommend that you look into it. I believe Chunbuns has a video, but it's a quick Google search away and it can really set you apart, because someone might be thinking, oh, this person's great, they have a great portfolio, this person also has a great portfolio, plus I know that they can work with developers. Other things you might want to consider are marketing efforts, business strategists, even leadership, or perhaps if it's a product that you see a business opportunity for example, in that same project that I was talking about earlier, I gave examples of how I believe we could work with accountants, and I did mock-ups of business cards with QR codes that would lead to our app that accountants would give to their clients so they could more easily manage their taxes. So I sort of gave more of a holistic business thought to it. So that's just something to think about. It may be specific to whatever your background is. I have a marketing background, so that's what I thought of. So just try and think bigger than just UX. Number 3 is getting testimonials that emphasize impact. If you were able to work with a friend or a local business for your project, make sure to get testimonials from them. If you worked for a business, you could also ask customers if your product or website or whatever it is impacted their experience. That would be really impactful. And if you only have solo projects, you can still ask people that are in your target market. You can ask them to give feedback on your product and ask them how they would use it in their daily lives and just get feedback from them. And you should definitely document that and share it if you can. Number 4 is to focus on results and outcomes. So whatever you're working on, you're ultimately working for a business, and what businesses care about are results and outcomes and profits. So if you're designing a website for a friend or a local business, make sure to put some sort of tracking software on there to measure the before and after. So maybe put something like, you guys know I like Reusable Analytics. You can also use Google Analytics. I prefer Reusable Analytics. It's a lot easier to use and a lot more intuitive. Easier to understand, and so you put it on the website. I'm not sure what you can use for apps, but you put it on the website, you track it for maybe a month to get your baseline data, and then after you update it or redesign it, then track for another month and see, are users taking desired actions? Are more people visiting? Like, did you make it more SEO friendly because the site was garbage before? Track that kind of stuff. It's important. You can also talk about business opportunity. So like something that I did with mine was because it was a tax documentation app, tax documentation organization app, I instantly thought of Intuit, who owns QuickBooks and TurboTax. So one of the outcomes I would look for in my solo project, obviously I couldn't actually do this, it was a solo project, it wasn't for anybody, but I said outcomes I would look for if I were to partner with Intuit, then I would look for more TurboTax subscriptions. Another quantitative thing would be accountants being able to manage more clients. Sorry if the video looks different. I ran out of storage in the middle of the video, so I don't know where it cut off. So anyway, I think the last thing I was saying was to focus on results and outcomes, and you don't just want to focus on quantitative, you want to focus on qualitative as well. Just say we would look for user feedback, that people are less frustrated and maybe even more excited to start tracking their taxes once they find out the benefits of this product. Tip number 5 is to actively remove your bias and explain why and how. A mistake that a lot of designers make, new, experienced, doesn't matter, bias slips in. Taking active steps to remove your bias and explaining why and how you do it in your case study, I think it's impactful. So I usually do that by conducting card sorting exercises when it comes to things like the sitemap. So I'll create the sitemap and then I will do something with optimal sort. I'll send it out to users and they create the sitemap for me basically. And so I sort of put it in the user's hands because that's right before the design phase, the information architecture stage. And so I think people appreciate that I will actively try to avoid making things in my preferred way and really focusing on what makes sense to the users. So look for ways to do that. There are books out there. Designing for Cognitive Bias is a great book for this kind of stuff. If you have the time and money, I suggest you read it. And tip number 6 is to include your design file. This is especially good for Figma. You can just share a viewing link and you can show how you organize your design file, any design systems or patterns that you have. It would be awesome to see and to click around in and everything and really get into it. It really immerses people and they might feel a little bit closer to you and get a good sense of what it's like to work with you. And that sort of ties back into that stakeholder management type of thing. So highly recommend you did that. I didn't do it, but if someone did that and I was hiring, not that I would, I've been working for like 7-8 months, so it's not like I would be hiring anybody, but now that I've been in the field for a little bit now, that would give me a good sense of what it's like to work with someone. So definitely something to think about. All right, guys, that is it for today. I just want to remind you guys, I'm going to be more active. I want to start doing lives. I just ordered a webcam and a microphone to do so, so we can design together. Don't forget to leave your portfolio links either in the YouTube comments or you can go to Buy Me a Coffee and I have a pinned post where you can post your portfolio link there. I'll make a video reviewing your portfolio site or your case study. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Please follow me on Buy Me a Coffee. I'm gonna start posting there. Like I said, Instagram isn't really my thing. I like Buy Me a Coffee a lot more. You don't have to donate, you can just follow me. So yeah, if you wanna stay up to date, go follow me over there. And I'm looking forward to being back and hopefully I'll have a nice setup somewhat soon, but we all know me, so that's probably not gonna happen. Get used to this. All right guys, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.